Hey everybody, sad but not surprising news today. Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh have both once again proven that they are no friends of the Second Amendment. Hey everybody, Yankee here. It seems today Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh once again showed their true colors and turned their backs on the gun community and the Constitution. They've proven time and time again they are not on our side, and today was no exception. It was time for the Supreme Court to decide whether they were going to hear the cases against the assault weapons ban in Maryland, the ban on AR15s, and the ban on standard capacity magazines in Rhode Island. Supreme Court could have taken these cases, settled this once and for all, using their own decisions, like Bruin. But they didn't get the votes to hear the cases because of the conservative justices. Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett said it wasn't time to hear these cases. In fact, Brett Kavanaugh said probably be a couple of years. A lot of people are trying to turn that into a positive, saying, oh, he voted against it today, but he said that within the next couple of years they might hear it. Well, that doesn't sound like much of a positive to me. That sounds like, well, it's going to be at least a couple of years before we step in and protect people's rights. Because supposedly all this was decided under Bruin, that stuff like this shouldn't be able to be happening, and cases like the ones that are challenged right now, which use the wrong case law and the wrong system to judge the laws to see if they were constitutional, they did exactly what Bruin said they couldn't do when they decided to let them stand. The Supreme Court should be stepping in and saying, no, we told you under Bruin you can't do this, but instead they're letting them ride. They're letting millions of U.S. citizens suffer, being denied their constitutional rights because, like I said, they are not friends of the Second Amendment. Brett Kavanaugh, and I've told you this from day one on Brett Kavanaugh, he's a corporatist. He doesn't believe in the power of the people. He believes in the power of big government and the corporations that own the big government. That's what he believes in. He's shown that time and time again. And Amy Coney Barrett, she's not a fan of freedom. She is very closely tied to the big money religious movement in the government. That's what she cares about. And religion is the antithesis to freedom. I hate to break it to you. That's why the founding fathers didn't think people that are preachers or religious figures should be in government, because they're not big on the personal freedoms, and the founding fathers were. So, like I said, sad but not surprising news today. The Supreme Court will not be hearing the Maryland case, will not be hearing the Rhode Island case, even though in every public statement they make, they're saying, oh yeah, they're using the wrong metric. They shouldn't be judging cases like this. They're making the wrong decisions. When it comes time for them to step in and actually enforce their own edicts, they won't do it. Because it's all just lip service, and it's all just theater to make you think, oh, they're looking out for you. They're conservative. They're not. Like I said, they're a religious nut job. I mean, she takes it to the level of crazy if you look into her past, and a corporatist, a known corporatist. So they are not on our side. Stop pretending they are. All these decisions that get made, they go along with it as much as they have to, but then when it comes to enforcing it, none of them enforce it. They don't say, hey, you're in contempt because, we have told you don't do this and now you're doing it again. They could be doing stuff like that, but they don't. They just say, well, let's let it ride out in the courts, for 2 or 10 years while they're openly defying what we've already decided. And then we'll see if we can make another ruling that they'll openly, defy. That's what they're doing. And it is disgusting as far as I'm concerned. It has shown that the Supreme Court will say what people want to hear, but it doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter how they rule. As if they're not going to enforce it, then what good is it? It's like saying, well, the law is that politicians can't do this or that, but they do it all the time and we don't enforce it and they know we're never gonna. Well, then is it really a law? And that's the same thing with all the gun rights decisions we've had lately. If they're not going to enforce them, what's the point? If they're going to say, hey, you can't use public safety as an excuse to ban someone's rights to own a specific item when it comes to the Second Amendment. Can't use public safety as an argument. And you know how many arguments have been decided recently on public safety? A bunch of them. And the Supreme Court doesn't step in and say, well, that is invalidated because you used the wrong metric. Because they don't care. And this is just another example of that. They don't care. They're not on our sides. Stop thinking they are. Stop thinking Trump's going to save the Second Amendment. He's doing nothing for the Second Amendment. And even those of us that are like, well, our only chances is the courts, even that doesn't seem like there's much chance there, because even when they rule on our side, when you can actually get them to do something, when they've got no other choice, they've waited till the last second, they've stalled as long as they could, and they finally make a decision like they did in Bruin, they don't enforce it. They still let the rest of the country do what they want to do. And where's the, charges against judges for defying the Constitution, defying a Supreme Court order? They don't exist because they don't enforce the law on themselves. They all know. I'm pretty sure even Gorsuch, I think probably the only person on the Supreme Court that actually wanted to hear it was probably Thomas. Even Gorsuch, who voted to hear these cases, probably conferred with the other two going, okay, now you two are not going to vote for it, right? So I can vote for it and look like I'm in favor, and you won't, and we won't have to hear it. Because if one of you is voting for it, well, then I can't vote for it, because then we'd have enough and we'd have to hear it and we'd have to do something. I'm sure that that's the case. And they don't want to actually have to hear anything or do anything because it's all lip service. They're not going to do anything that prevents the 1% from maintaining control of this country, from maintaining control of our government. Both the corporate elitists, the religious elitists, they're not going to do anything that challenges their power or gives any power back to the people. They've shown that time and time again. And this is just another case of that. So if you're someone that thinks these people are on our side and that Donald Trump's going to save the Constitution and save America, well, then you're fooling yourself, because you're thinking something in your head that you would love to see happen while you're ignoring what's going on right in front of your eyes.